Hi, it's T. Carlson here, and it's time for more Beatles. I'm in the process of reviewing each Beatles album, ranking each song on said album, and today we come to the band's fifth album, Help, which was also the soundtrack for their second motion picture, directed by Richard Lester. I'm going to get right down to things. There were 14 songs on this album, and I'm going to rank them from worst to best. So let's get started. At number 14 on the list, I have Tell Me What You See. A decent little pop song, but fairly unmemorable compared to some of the more complex, more memorable tunes that this album spawned. At number 13, a step up from the list, I have You Like Me Too Much. This was one of the two George Harrison songs on the album, and it's a decent pop song, but George Harrison had not really found his own place as a songwriter yet, so his tunes really aren't all that different from the Lennon-McCartney songs of the day. And that's why my next song up on the list is number 12, I Need You, which kind of falls into the same camp. Nice little pop ballad of sorts, but again, there were better George Harrison songs to come, and there are certainly better songs by the other Beatles on the Help album. At number 11, I have I've Just Seen a Face. Pretty decent little pop rocker from Paul McCartney, one that I think has always been a little underappreciated, though at the same time, still not one of the best songs that the Help album spawned. At number 10, I have Another Girl. Another pretty upbeat pop rocker, pretty solid song in its own right. I would say maybe minor hit status on this one, but not one you're going to hear on the radio on a regular basis. And that's a shame because it's actually quite catchy. At number 9, we have the sort of country song, Act Naturally, which features Ringo on vocals. It seems like every Beatles album's got to have some covers, and every Beatles album's got to have a song with Ringo singing. In the case of Act Naturally, we pretty much get both of those things. And this is Ringo just having a good time covering this old country standard, and certainly not my favorite song on Help, but I can't help but get a little smile on my face every time I hear this one just for what it is. At number 8, I have Yesterday, one of the most popular songs spawned by the album, also one of the most covered songs in history. I mean, this is pretty much just sort of classical instrumentation with Paul singing. This arrangement would start to become more common on later albums like Revolver. And for what it is, it's certainly not a bad song. I don't think this song is the masterpiece everyone claims it is, but I certainly don't think it's a bad song either. Number 7, I have It's Only Love. This is a brief sub 2-minute song. Pretty simple, but straightforward and to the point. It is what it is, and it's great at what it is. So I do find myself listening to this one a fair amount. It's pretty catchy, pretty entertaining, and a great early Beatles song. At number 6, I have You're Gonna Lose This Girl. Again, you kind of start to get back to John Lennon, the cynic here, where he's got a slightly more pessimistic worldview, and how you want to go to extremes not to lose your woman. I mean, it's a far cry from the more optimistic and bubbly songs of the earlier years of the Beatles, and a really great example of John Lennon progressing as a songwriter. At number 5, another pretty short and simple song, You've Got to Hide Your Love Away. This is basically just an acoustic guitar, a tambourine, a flute, vocals, maybe a few other little things in the background. It's one of the most simplistic, short Beatles songs, and despite that, it's one of the best. This is one of my favorite Beatles songs, despite the fact that it's not overly complex, overly long, or anything in between. At number 4 on the list, and this was the last cover song to ever appear on a Beatles album, not counting folk songs and things like that, Dizzy Miss Lizzy. This is like John Lennon just doing like the classic early Beatles high energy performance on a song one last time. He's just singing his heart out on this one, and this almost seems like sort of a coda to the early years of the Beatles before they started moving into what would be a little more progressive and psychedelic. And it's a great farewell to this era of the career. This was the last song on the album, and it was certainly a good way to end it. Number 3 on the list, I have the title song, Help. Is there anyone in the world who has not heard this song? It's just such a memorable, catchy pop song. Absolutely great for what it is. One of the most memorable pop rock songs of all time, and of course the title song from this album and the film of the same name. At number 2 on the list, I have The Night Before. Great little Paul McCartney song that I've always thought is sorely underrated. I don't know that I'd necessarily call this the best song on the album, but it's certainly the catchiest. I mean, the lyrics are memorable, the instrumentation is memorable. As soon as you're done hearing this song, you just want to go back and listen to it again because it's that addicting. I mean, that's the songwriting that Paul McCartney was capable of back in the day, and I mean, all these years later, he's still writing songs and performing, but this represents one of his true pinnacles in the very early years of the band before they got into the more experimental stuff. And my number one pick for a song on the Help album, and it's probably also the most popular song on the album, Ticket to Ride. Great early, memorable John Lennon pop song. What can I say about this one that hasn't already been said? I mean, the verses are catchy, the chorus is catchy, Lennon's vocal delivery is perfect, the bass line is perfect. It's one of the catchiest songs ever made, one of the most memorable Beatles songs ever made, one of the most memorable songs ever made, period. And I have absolutely no reservations calling this the best song on the Help album. And there you have it. What's your favorite song on the Help album? What's your least favorite? Where do you rank this one in the Beatles discography? Comment down below and let me know what you think. Also, remember to subscribe to this channel for more content. I'm always posting new videos. And make sure you give this one a like if you found it helpful. I'm Taylor T. Carlson. I'll see you next time.